Call the meeting order, the Soundview Commission of October 26th. And our first order of business, this is a WebEx meeting. First order of business is to approve the minutes of August 24th, 2020. I think everybody saw those minutes. Michaela put them out. I don't think they got posted for some reason. Missed the posting. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 24th meeting?
I'll move.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, that was Harry.
Hey,
Is there any?
Frank, this is Frank Murata. I'm trying to get on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Frank, you're on.
You're on. You're there, Frank.
I know I am, but I'm not visual. But I'll stay on visual.
You're on a telephone line?
Yeah.
All right, so your last two digits are 26.
Yes, sir.
Let me just see if I could rename you here. Well, won't let me rename you. Anyhow, so we'll just have to remember that's who you are. Okay. Any further discussion on the minutes of August 24th? Mikhail, I did look at them. Those items you had in blue were correct. So those were the names?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who's a voting member?
We have all commission members here tonight, Frank. So the alternates don't need to be voting.
Okay.
Okay. So any abstentions or nays? All right. Meeting minutes passed for August 24th. We did not have a meeting in September. I'm sorry about that. I ran into a major problem here at work, and I was tied up all night long. So I apologize for that. There was nothing critical that we had to deal with right at that moment. So I thought it was best that we just cancel the meeting rather than try to recreate it later on. Thank you all for your indulgence. First order of business is a connectivity grant. We're moving quite well on the connectivity grant. Last Thursday evening, there was a WebEx public information meeting. I think we only had one person attend the WebEx meeting. Mary Jo did a great job putting that together. It is posted on the website, so if anybody wants to some late night viewing, feel free to get on board and take a look at it. The sidewalks are essentially all designed.
Does this bother you?
The state DOT. Somebody's talking here. The state DOT is provisionally approved the plan, and we've met with the homeowners on Hartford Avenue, and I personally met with several of the abutters on Shore Road, discussed the plans with them. Certified letters have gone out to all the abutters requesting an agreement to allow us to access their property to do the work that's necessary. Once again, no personal property is being taken. We're using all town property. The only easement that is being requested is at the Easy Mart, and that is a section of the Easy Mart where their sign is, that general location. We're cleaning up an easement that should have been there from quite a while ago when the Hartford Avenue was redesigned and they opened up the opening to Hartford Avenue. They actually took a piece of Easy Mart's property for that, and there was never an easement created. So we're creating an easement for that, which will get us to redesign the end of the Hartford Avenue and put the sidewalks in. The funding for the grant is $400,000, as we stated before. We were thrown a curveball a little bit in that our intention and approach always has been that this is for new sidewalks, and therefore it's new construction. And as new construction, the state requires a threshold of $1 million for prevailing wage and $100,000 for prevailing wage on renovations. So we've always been under the impression that it's new construction because there are no sidewalks there now, and we're putting new sidewalks in. The State Department of Labor came back after some questions were raised, and they have deemed this to be a prevailing wage project. Not quite sure of the rationale. They've kind of stretched the rationale and said, since there's streets there already, we're modifying the streets, in which case it's a renovation. We still have one question being posed to them, and please define new construction versus renovation, since there are no sidewalks there. But quite frankly, we don't hold much hope for that being changed. In doing so, changing from non-prevailing wage to prevailing wage, we're probably going to get 30% less work done than we anticipated. In other words, the costs are going to be roughly 25 to 30% higher on the project than we originally anticipated. Once again, being new sidewalks, we anticipated being a new project, but the Department of Labor said no, they want prevailing wage. Our funding looks like it will cover all of, well, our funding will cover all of Hartford Avenue, including what renovations have to be made on personal property to match up with the slopes and grades that are being recreated or created by the sidewalks. And that leaves us roughly about $65,000 for sidewalks on Shore Road. Now there's a $35,000 contingency fee in there, and if we don't use that contingency fee for unforeseen issues, we can use that for construction activities on Shore Road, which would bring us up to close to $90,000. So it's all anticipated that, of course, we will not get all of the sidewalks done on Shore Road. However, the plan has been approved or will be approved by DOT for the entirety of Shore Road and Hartford Avenue. With that approval being done, it will put us in good position for further funding through grants through the state. The other thing that the DOT has said is that Town of Old Lyme is far ahead of other recipients for this connectivity grant, both in design and implementation. So they're very pleased with that. Their approach, they actually want to get things done. So since we're so far ahead of things and we've got this well under control, they see that as a very positive thing. So we'll be able to apply for additional funding for the balance of sidewalks on Shore Road and also the transportation intermodal center for a bus stop at the top of Hartford Avenue.
Hey, Frank. So it sounds like further from this grant, which just got reduced by 30%.
Yeah.
Anything that we do going forward, we love our state as a partner, because I hear people talk about the state as a partner. Oh my gosh, But question for you: Hartford Avenue is one side. Is that not correct?
Yeah, it's just the west side of Hartford Avenue.
Correct. Okay. So then going forward, if we want to do anything beyond like 65 feet or whatever the heck it is right now, it may be a very strong consideration of what it would cost us as a town to do without the layers upon layers of folks, at the state, to simply do something and say, hey, state, can we do this, and do it on our own dime? Because I gave the square footage to guys who do sidewalks, and in terms of doing the one side of Hartford Avenue, and we're talking about $400,000. I love the word grant. It's not a grant, it's tax money. And it would be very nice if we continue down this path. I want to get done what has already been agreed to. Absolutely, 100%. But we need to consider what it would cost somebody on a municipality's own to do something. We are now down the road. All this stuff takes forever, as we saw, less than 0.2 of a mile paved and considered down at the end of Hartford Avenue. It takes a long time to do all this stuff. And maybe if the town itself, said, hey, it's 300 grand and we got done what we wanted to get done in a year instead of 4 years, that's a consideration as well. So, and by the way, I'm happy to pay for that, even if it costs us a little bit more than our share, because it's always, oh, we got like a 20% share, whatever. Let's find out what it would actually cost versus the, siren song of it's 20% for us and 80% for the state, but it costs literally twice as much. So that's my little piece.
You bring up a good point, Dave. I'm not sure how we would go about that. I think we'd have to work with, obviously, with the selectmen to see.
Somebody at the town would have to actually talk to DOT, like the Halls Road Improvement Committee doesn't do. So I do think that, if we've got a big picture view of improving 156 where it is, not just for sidewalks, but lots of other things as well, that there needs to be a bigger picture view of things. And and it's something that I brought up with lots of other folks. Call the DOT and just tell them what the heck you're thinking day one. And then we can kind of figure stuff out as opposed to, following the lead of other folks who think that they have, the Svengali, ear of the DOT. So anyway.
Let me ask a question. You bring up an interesting point, Dave. So what you're suggesting is that we would take the balance of the work that needs to be done on Shore Road and put that out as a town bid as non-prevailing wage.
We have a very significant plan in place that's easily bid out. I mean, we're not talking about very complicated stuff here.
No, it's very straightforward.
Yeah, that would be great. But again, we're all volunteers and it all takes time. And so I understand, the delays that kind of occur with all this stuff. But getting the state involved, our experience has been for small or big deals that it costs a lot more. We might get less for our dollars that we're putting in as a town. And look, if something costs 300 grand and the town was going to put 60 grand in, but it costs 150 grand if we just did it ourselves, I'm okay putting in that extra amount because it gets done faster and it gets done with a lot less red tape and you're in control of your costs. But again, this is, down the road. So.
Well, it's an interesting point. Just to refresh everybody's memory, though, this is 100% grant. There's no contribution from the town on this. Of course, it's state money. It's all our tax money. It's coming, the same pair of pants, just coming out of different pockets, so to speak.
Right.
So,
but there's costs that have been incurred. Again, it's 400 grand. It's not the grant, for the less than 0.2 of a mile that we did, at the south end of Hartford Avenue, where we put in 150 grand plus, because there was lots of other weird stuff going on with legal costs that weren't allocated and that sort of thing. So at any rate, it's a lot cleaner. If the town can do it itself, that's great. And by the way, we are, a nice town, and lots of people say, it's a town that other folks should be invited to. We're taking money away from folks with these grants, So there's also kind of an ethos about whether we want grants or not for a town like Old Lyme, but that's a bigger picture issue. So all I'm saying is we've got money to go another kind of 60 feet up 156. We've got bigger ambitions, for 156.
Right.
That it would be very nice to not go down the siren song of a grant and do the song and dance for everything that they want, without considering how much it could be without them. Because I think townsfolk would absolutely support a lot of things that don't require a grant at a reduced level. That's all. Yeah.
Well, Mary Jo is online here, so maybe we can just bring that, just enter that conversation with BSC just to get their thoughts on that and see if we can kind of figure out what those costs might be if we went on it on our own.
Just a comparison.
Yeah,
Just a comparison.
Yeah. So, Mary Jo, I don't want to put you on the spot, but your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a good idea. I know we did a quick and dirty estimate of the southern end of Hartford Avenue. And it was from Bocce to the parking lot. It was roughly $500,000 according to BSC for the town to have done that. So they can give us an estimate.
Yeah, maybe we could ask Kurt for that.
And it's not just the engineers, because the engineers are engineers. It's a guy who lays down sidewalks, for goodness sake. You know, what is that on a per square? I got a 4-foot sidewalk. What should that cost me? You know, I got 1,000 linear feet of sidewalk. What does that cost? But I think that going forward, the comparison, instead of going down the path of, hey, we got a grant, just doing a little bit of comparative analysis is worth the town's while. And it's not just the cost, it's also the time. If something takes 3 years to do because it's a grant versus 1 year to do because it's not a grant, that's worth some money too, because there's the time value of money. So at any rate, we've got a little bit of money to finish up, and that's great. And we've got a sidewalk on one side of Hartford Avenue that's $400,000+, but whatever. You know, let's get done what we can get done given the commitments that we've got right now, and then going forward, maybe we can make more efficient use of time and money.
The good part about it is the entire package will be approved by DOT. So it wouldn't require any additional engineering, nor would it require any additional interface with the DOT. So that's a tremendous amount of work right there in and of itself. So it's entirely possible that we could get an estimate and do a cost benefit analysis and I think that excellent point, Dave. So we'll bring that up at the next meeting. And
I just want to add that we've only been at this for just over a year, Dave. Just so you know, I think the committee has done a lot of work in 1 year. It doesn't seem like we've been dragging on for 3 years. We started meeting in April of 2019, so we've done a lot in a year.
You got the grant at 2019 and
we got the word that we got the grant, but we didn't get the commitment to pay until February of 2020.
Mary Jo, you get my point. Like if the town can do
I get your point, but when you say we've been inefficient, I just want to say this committee's been very efficient.
Well, I think that we can look into. We certainly can look at that at the next meeting.
It's not the committee; it's the state that I was talking about. Yeah.
So we can certainly look into that. The nice part, like I said, is that the engineering drawings have been done, they've been approved, or they will be approved. So if we desire to move forward on it and on our own dime, there's a lot of work that's already been done. And
that's right. That's right.
And we're far ahead of the game. So
yeah.
So anyhow, the full informational meeting is on YouTube. You can get onto it from the town website. I believe it's been posted already. Mary Jo, has it? Yes. So if anybody would like to see that, you could get online. If there are any questions, you could submit them to the selectman's office and the committee will respond to those questions. But pretty much a very well laid out presentation, and it has complete with financial information there. So any questions regarding the connectivity grant? We are looking to go out to bid in November. with construction award end of December and start of work in March with substantial completion by Memorial Day of 2021.
Oh,
So it's a short timeline, but there's not a lot there. And it's a pretty linear project. We don't expect to find any surprises. So, like I said, most of the property owners have already been contacted, and we're waiting on some homeowner agreements so that we can get on their property to do the work that we need to do. Once again, we're only doing work that's going to match up with the design that we're doing the side. In other words, if we're putting a sidewalk in and we're changing the slope of the driveway, we need to make the driveway connect up to their property so that their car doesn't bottom out. Things of that nature. Anything? Any other questions regarding the connectivity grant? Connecticut Water installations are going full speed ahead, and it looks like they will be done by the end of the year in the Soundview area. So there's really no new information there. I haven't heard anything that that's going to prevent the Connecticut Water from completing the Soundview upgrades by the end of the year, which was their deadline. They had to complete it by the end of 2020. In order for their sale to San Jose Water to go through cleanly. There was a Michaela, did they? I guess the construction company damaged the gate at the end of Portland. Did they repair that gate yet?
They did. I actually got in touch with Tim and Ed Adonti personally after they let a few weeks go by. And so I sent an email to Tim and to Ed, and within that week, the gate was being repaired. So it's all fine now.
Okay. Yeah, I know I did mention it to Tim. I sent a memo to Tim the minute you, I think that.
Yeah, but
gate,
like I kind of let a month by, and then I decided it was time to try harder.
Gate was damaged, and 10 minutes later I had pictures, and 10 minutes after that Tim had pictures. So we're jumping right on it. Thanks for keeping an eye out, Michaela. I have no new information on sewers other than an easement was given to the beach associations, and I have no other new information on any of the other sewer project. Unless anybody, the commissioners, have any other information.
Hey, it's Michaela. There was some new construction today on Shore Road, where they were taking the top off the road at the intersection of Portland and Shore. And that was not supposed to be part of the water project. So I don't know if that's part of the sewer project. Do you have any idea?
I saw too. They were scarifying the top of the asphalt. I don't think they were actually digging anything up. It looked like they were just scarifying to repave something. So.
Oh, okay. That's not what it looked like. And they had a lot of markings in the street.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I just saw them scarifying the pavement this morning when I drove through. So I'll check it out tonight.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions regarding sewers? And let's get the date here. I don't have this so I could share it, so I'm going to have to kind of summarize the next item for you. On August 28th, I got an email from Mark Mangello from Miami Beach. And I went out to Doug Whalen, Harry Plout, Frank Noe, and several other people. And it was regarding a member of the Miami Beach Association that questioned and challenged the no SUPs, stand-up paddleboards, in the swim lines. I know we had this discussion a while back regarding SUPs and swim lines, and at that time, the state had stated that they were vessels and they were not allowed in the swim lines. However, it looks like the Coast Guard says it's not considered a vessel if it's in a swim line. Am I correct on that, Harry? unmute yourself.
The Coast Guard has changed its original decision about paddle boards being in the swim area. According to that, now they can be in a swim area. However, under personal experience, I think they're much too dangerous, but they are allowed in the swim areas now.
Well, but doesn't our permit come from the DEP, which still forbids them?
The Coast Guard is the governing body in this situation, and they say they can do it. So
But as a
there you have
town,
it.
as a town, Harry, we can make we can require we can state no SUPs and swim lines as a town.
The swim line permit that encompasses from the Swan Avenue all the way up to the end of Miami Beach to the Hawks Nest fence that was created in 1986. The town would have to have a statute regarding if they want to prohibit SUPs in the swim lane. It would have to be an ordinance, a town ordinance. But that could be challenged, and we found that the Coast Guard is already permitting it. So I think you'd be wasting your time, truthfully.
So how come they're still not allowed at White Sands?
They should be at White Sands.
So
There's
we have to let them into our swim area, White Sands, we'll have to let them into their swim area as well?
yeah.
Okay.
So
Maybe we should at least, I don't know, I don't know what to do. I mean, we keep flip-flopping back and forth, and it's because the Coast Guard has changed their plans. I did not see any state guidance either one way or another regarding SUPs. The only guidance I saw was the Coast Guard that said that in a swim line, it's not considered a vessel. The state did not put out any kind of guidance at all on that.
when I spoke to the head of the Marine Division here in Old Lyme, he was very surprised that the Coast Guard had overturned its original decision. And he said, whatever the Coast Guard says, that's what we're following now.
Okay. So we'll just have to decide if we want to lobby for an ordinance or not.
That's right.
Unfortunately, it may take an injury or two before.
I was just going to say that because it becomes an insurance issue if a swimmer is struck by one of these paddle boards. You know, where's the liability? Who's responsible?
Well, if it's allowed, there isn't liability.
Well, just because it's allowed doesn't mean you can strike somebody in the swim lanes. You know,
No, it doesn't. But if it happens and the Coast Guard allows it, there's not liability.
Yeah, but we don't have lifeguards at Soundview.
Well, again, if what Harry has said, and again, we don't have the text of the requirements and the all of that stuff, but you know, usually federal law trumps state law, and so if the regulations from the Coast Guard say that they're allowed, then they're allowed, and if someone gets hurt because of it, you know, there's a lot less liability than if it weren't allowed. So, but it does beg the question of, with great expedience over the winter, to pass an ordinance, right?
well, just as an FYI, in the state of Connecticut, a vessel owner is not required to have insurance on his vessel. So it would seem to me that somebody with a stand-up paddleboard in a swim area is not required to have insurance whether it was deemed a vessel or not. So there is a liability, but who's the liability on if there's an injury or an accident?
Well, they probably should go to the town's insurance carrier and our attorney, I would think.
There's
Because
plenty,
liability-
yeah, there's plenty of other places along the shoreline that have swim lines, and so whatever they do, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let's find out what other people
This is
do.
Frank. This is Frank.
Yes,
I
Frank.
really doubt if someone's going to get injured by a paddleboard. We're taking this way too far.
Well,
Oh,
Frank,
don't
Frank, I don't think you're taking it too far to do a simple ordinance, which doesn't take too much, right? To say no paddle boards in a swimline area as small as Sound View is. I mean, it's not that big of an area, and it's always crowded, and it should just be swimmers, in my personal view.
I completely agree. I mean, even sometimes when people have those big floats on the water, and those are not dangerous, but they take up an awful lot of room, and people run into them all the time while they're swimming.
I want to remind everybody, but the swim line, the permitted area by the town encompasses a lot more than just Sound View.
Right.
Right.
But the permit is held by the town of Old Lyme, so whatever's good in front of Hartford and Swan Avenue should be good in front of Miami because the town does own that permit. So maybe I'll send a note to the selectmen requesting some information or suggesting that the liability should be looked at, and I wonder if somebody can make some inquiries into other towns with swim lines and see if they have ordinances.
Well, I think we should leave that.
I can tell you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
I think if you just raise it, I mean, Mary Jo's on the phone. If you raise it through an email to the selectmen for consideration, they should put it to Jack Collins, our town attorney, or Sussman Shapiro, our town attorney, and hopefully they have experience beyond just our town and be able to inquire, or if not, they can inquire for other towns and make sure that we're just doing best practices. So that's I think the right step is, Frank, if you do an email that you suggest that maybe there's an ordinance, but you don't know, and we should run it by the town attorney and just check with other towns. That's a good starting point to get the ball rolling with folks, because none of us know on the call right now what the deal is,
Right.
As the harbor master for the town of Westbrook also, the Harbor Management Commission down there is currently debating the use of these big floaties and also paddle boards within the swim areas, not necessarily permitted or unpermitted, but they're dealing with them as a whole throughout the town. So I can let you know what the results will be of that. So
It's basically having the same discussion we're having.
yeah, it's a
but
bigger
Jack
problem.
Collins,
It's a bigger problem down there. Bigger
Yeah,
problem.
Sussman Shapiro should make 6 phone calls to folks who have swim lines on the shoreline and just see what everybody else is doing and then give us some advice,
Actually, you need to consult a marine attorney, one that specializes in things on the water.
Well, hopefully Jack will point us in that direction. So
I'll draft.
if Sussman Shapiro doesn't have those guys, they will find them. But yeah, that's right. You need to get to the right attorney for this sort of thing. I totally agree.
I have a marine attorney that I use out of New London that has helped me in a lot of cases regarding all different types of things that happen on the water.
Harry, let me ask you this. I don't want to overstep the bounds of the Harbor Commission. Is this something that falls within the purview of the Harbor Commission, do you think? Or are we in the right, are we on the right playing field here?
Well, I always like to go through the chain of command when I'm looking for things to solve. And I find that the Harbor Management Commission in our town is kind of laid back and not proactive as the Harbor Management Commission is in Westbrook. So out of a courtesy, I would talk to them. I can assure you that unless it's something that is really emphatically implied to them, that you may get a passive answer. I'm trying to be very
Sure, no, I
polite.
understand where you're coming from, yeah.
They're my bosses.
Well, you know what, I could certainly send a letter to both and ask for guidance and see what we come up with. I mean, well, I'll pose the question and pose the concerns and ask them for guidance. We want to make sure that we're doing something that's
Frank,
it's right and accurate, and it's going to be it's a safety issue and also a town liability issue.
Frank,
If it were left up to my
Listen.
discretion as the harbor master for the town, I would not allow paddle boards in a swim area, period.
this is what the state deep has to say. Stand-up paddleboards are considered vessel boats by the U.S. Coast Guard unless they are being used in a surf zone or designated swim area. Anyone who uses a stand-up paddleboard is required to abide by all boating laws. So as soon as they get into a swim area, they're not a vessel. That's what it sounds
Yeah,
like to me.
but vessels aren't allowed in swim areas at all, so it's kind of a
But as soon as they get into
catch-22.
this is what it's saying. It says as soon as they get into the swim area, they're not a vessel.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
which is a little-
perverse? Isn't that
Consider how
perverse?
area is.
What?
Wait, Frank,
Just throw
read that
that out
again.
there.
That seems the exact opposite of what I would expect. Like if they're
Exactly.
outside the swim area, they're a vessel, but as soon as they get in a swim line, they're a vessel?
No. Stand-up paddleboards are considered vessel boats by the U.S. Coast Guard unless they are being used in a surf zone or designated swim area.
So it is perverse.
I think they're referring to the part that a stand-up paddleboard outside the swim area, somebody is standing up and actually propelling it. If it were in the swim area, they're not supposed to be paddling it. They could lay down on it and use it like a surfboard. I mean, that was the way it was kind of described to me. But like I said, doesn't make sense.
Now, if you go with that logic that they're required to use vessel regulations outside a swim area, but not, then that means they have no regulations inside a swim area because they're not considered a vessel. That's counterintuitive. That doesn't make any sense. We're gonna have to get some clarification on it, I think. And that statement you read, Frank, is kind of ambiguous, and I feel uncomfortable making a comment one way or the other until we get some clarification on it, especially when it comes to the liability aspect of it. The fact that the DEP and the Coast Guard don't consider it, I don't think it's wise for the town just to shut their eyes and say, okay, no problem. And if a problem occurs, especially on the heavily used beaches, I just would want to make sure that we're in the right way. We're in the right
But
place.
our mission statement is basically, to have this family-oriented beach, and we've got $1 million for that for the bicycle lane, which is probably the most dangerous damn thing I've ever seen. And we're worried about paddle boards in a swim area, really. It's just.
Well, Frank,
the bikes going down 156 are ridiculous.
Yeah,
The
but you know what?
question-
All kids ride to school now, so it's good that we have it. Since
The
COVID,
question-
they're all riding to school.
I
They're
would-
not taking.
If I had a youngster under two, I would never let him ride to school on that road.
Well, my
It's
kids
crazy.
don't. When I'm driving them to school, I pass a lot of kids riding their bikes to school. Half the town is riding their bikes to school right now.
Well,
Look, I don't want to get off topic here. I don't look, the question was posed The question was posed, I think we can't ignore it. We at least need to follow this through to some logical conclusion. And right now, we need to get some more data and get people that are a little bit more in tune with what's occurring. So I'll send them a message out to the selectmen. I'll copy the Harbor Commission so that they have their opportunity to say something regarding liability and some of the ambiguity in the vessel, non-vessel issues and the congestion of the beach area. And we'll see what they have to say.
Well, this does need to be decided because you could face having kayaks in the swim area as well as canoes. So,
Yeah,
right.
and then how do you?
There's no policing in the swim area in the Soundview area. That's the concern that
I'm going to get my three-wheeler thinger back out from the early 1980s.
Yeah, you do that, Dave. I won't take a picture of that. Okay, so if we're all okay with that, I'll send an email out. I'll copy the commission on that so that they have a copy of that, and hopefully we'll keep following up on that so we know where we're going with that. Events summer 2021. I think the first thing we really should decide is we're going to try for the food truck festival? Question mark? Statement?
Yeah, hopefully. Jesus.
Okay.
You gotta go for it. This can't go on another year.
We gave it a good try this year, but we probably ought to pick a date for that now so that I could get a hold of Barbara Neff, or you can, Frank, get a hold of Barbara Neff so we could start plugging that into everybody's schedule. So
what do we have? The third week of June?
if we did it in June.
That's what we did potentially this year.
Get the calendar up here.
I don't have a calendar in front of me.
I put one up here right now.
I do have a calendar.
We did that, Frank. That was a Saturday or Sunday. Do you recall?
It was a Saturday, definitely a Saturday.
Okay. So
how about June 26th?
Either June 26th, June 19th, or June 12th.
Let's see what Barbara's got open. Those three. No further into the season than that, though.
No. Does anybody have a preference?
Not at this
I
point.
think earlier is better.
Pardon me?
I think earlier is better because it'll be less crowded with beach people, and you want to bring more people down.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Frank, did we talk about May last year, the week before Memorial Day?
Did.
No, actually, I thought it was June 20th last year.
But only because Barbara couldn't do it. Our original date was
Right. Yeah.
Memorial Day. Frank's right.
Yeah.
But I tried in May.
Yeah. Let me call Barbara in the next few days and find out.
Okay. So
What's
it
good
would
with
be.
her.
We don't want to do Memorial Weekend, so it would probably be May 22nd, which is the
Yeah.
weekend before that, or
Yeah.
those dates in June. So
I think May would, because it'll extend the season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. The May 22nd would be a good date to start. But let me check with Barbara, see if that's cool with her.
All right, see if Barbara's great with that, and we could plug it in for May 22nd.
Yep.
All right, let me write that down here. And we're going to shoot for the concerts again next summer.
I hope so.
Okay. Joanne, are you still on board to kind of work with that?
Sure.
And I forgot the couple that was going to assist you on that.
I have that somewhere.
It's
Okay.
Tony Zia
What is
and
it?
Leanne.
Yes.
Tony and
Oh,
Leanne.
yours. They live on your street, right?
They're on Portland.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right, super. No other, no, can't think of any other events. I think that's pretty much covers our plate of events for the summer. Parking lot, trash can enclosures. So if you recall, a couple of meetings ago, we talked about rather than getting some new trash cans, we were talked about possibly doing enclosures, grouping maybe 4 at a time and putting them in some sort of nice enclosure so that it doesn't look like the Berlin Wall down the end of Hartford Avenue and Swan Avenue. So as everybody requested, I did meet with Eric Olson to get some general costing, and he has given us a preliminary quote of an enclosure for 4 trash cans. So in other words, you put 4 trash cans like in a square, and that would be cedar clapboards, painted, and be $1,075 per enclosure. So three enclosures would be 12 cans, and that would be just about a little over $3,000. Or you can do a little less costly one, which would be Tech 111 with PVC trim, and that would be $875 per enclosure. Personally, I think the cedar clapboards would be a little bit more in tune with the feel of the beach feel. Agree, disagree?
Agreed.
Who was it that said that?
This is Eric Olson. He's a contractor.
Who was that?
Eric Olson, a contractor that was referred to us.
No, I know. Who was it that said that they liked the cedar clapboards better?
Me
Frank
personally.
Marotta.
Frank
Oh,
Marotta
Frank.
likes it better. Frank Pappalardo likes it better. Hey, if Frank Marotta and Frank Pappalardo agree on it, it's got to be good. So,
And me.
and Michaela, oh boy. So if you then, and Mary Jo likes it too. So I'll
I
ask
like
Eric.
that idea.
Hey, Frank, one question is just coordinating with Ed. If those garbage cans, whenever they need to be emptied, if they've got to move them, that sort of thing, that there's some flexibility in terms of the design. And it could just be the panel, has some wing nuts or something on it that comes off, so that there's accessibility to those things. Just connecting Eric, if he is our guy, and Ed, and making sure that they're on the same page in terms of design. But yeah.
I'll get with Ed and have him kind of come up with some design thoughts, better design thoughts on it, and a little bit more detail. And then we'll look at it at the next meeting. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the price is right, because I think we had rolled over $3,500 or whatever it was. Right. So it's within our budget certainly, and seems more elegant on the cedar side. No matter what we do for whether paint or clear or whatever anybody comes up with is great. So
yeah, I think it'll be a nice addition down there.
Yeah, definitely better than what's there.
Yeah,
which was better than we had before.
Yeah, right. We just keep incrementally we're moving better and better and better. So, well, the other thing too is with these enclosures, as trash cans do need to be replaced, we no longer have to buy 800-pound trash cans.
Right.
So. All right. So we all agreed on that. Is there any dissent on that? Joanne, you're cool with that? Paul, everybody's good?
Yep.
Oops,
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Good.
Had one other item under Public Works, which I'd like to bring up. Our bocce courts were a weed farm this year. The planters around the trees have got weeds 2 and 3 feet high. The trees have got suckers growing on them all over the place, and they are very anemic. They need to be fertilized, and something needs to be done with that. So I I went out to get some costing on having a professional come in and do the work. I got public works people are overstressed. They just simply don't have the time, or maybe it's just not on, on their priority list. But I thought I would get some ideas, some costing, just so we can look at it and put it in the budget. And if works, it works. I went out to several town landscape people, asked them for quotes. I didn't receive phone calls from 3 of them, and 2 of them said they would give me quotes, and they didn't give me quotes. So I went out of town and I got a quote from a highly reputable firm, Sprigs and Twigs. I guess a lot of people use them in the area. They're very, very highly recommended. And met with them on the site. We talked about initial going through and picking up the steel grates around the tree planters, excavating out the old mulch, putting in planting cloth, new mulch, weeding them, testing the soil, putting in proper fertilizer for the trees, and then trimming the suckers off the sides of the trees, and then also weeding the bocce courts. They are an all organic company, so they don't use any chemicals. So we talked about 3 times a year, once prior to Memorial Weekend, and then once in sometime mid-July and one mid-August, just to keep everything looking good and up to date. Got a preliminary cost from them of about $3,500 for the 3 efforts down there. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a really good idea, and I'm really happy that you took it upon yourself to get quotes and everything, because that's really a great solution, because Public Works is definitely not going to step up and add this to their program of maintenance. The price sounds reasonable to me. I don't really know, what kind of work costs, but it sounds like from the amount of work they would be doing, that seems pretty reasonable to me.
Hey, Frank, I use Sprigs and Twigs, and they are very expensive. The cost that they have quoted you is very reasonable. So that's a good thing. They know what they're doing. So there's always a trade-off in terms of cost, Right. It's not the lowest bid, all the time. And so I'm pleased with that cost. I think that we should propose it as part of our budget. And I agree with Michaela's comment as well. I mean, Ed and his team are capable of doing a lot of things, and they take on a lot of things, but, there are priorities that show up. So I think that's a fair price for keeping up what we've got. I mean, we don't want to be New London that puts in, beautiful granite curbs, and then a year later it's a total mess. So I think that we're in a town that is fortunate enough and blessed that we should be able to swing it. So,
yeah, maintenance is what we have. This past summer, it was looking pretty shabby down there. A couple of people just took it upon themselves to weed one of the bocce courts just so it was usable.
Right.
I thought it'd be good. So, are we all in agreement?
I agree.
We'll put it in the budget. Okay.
Yes, I agree.
yes.
Okay, I got thumbs up from Terry too. So okay. All right, we'll go through the budget in a second here.
We'll have to approve the budget anyway, Frank.
Yeah.
With a single motion, so there's no reason to.
Okay, police and security. I don't have anything else on police and security, but the next item is budget. I had a copy of that at some point. Unfortunately,
Frank, before you go any further,
Yes,
I think it's time that somebody be recognized for doing a phenomenal job in taking care of the flowers down at the end of Hartford Avenue.
Thank you for reminding me.
Jackie did an amazing job. She did it every damn day because the water came out of my shop, and she would not miss doing that under any circumstance in any weather condition. So I think the commission really should do something for her and thank her for her devotion to those damn flowers.
I'll tell you, those two flowers, as a matter of fact, when I was walking by them the other day with Sprigs and Twigs, Mary Grace looked at me, she says, "Oh my God, those are beautiful." And I said, "Yes, they are. Jackie takes care of those." So the marigolds are just flourishing. They're beautiful. And Jackie, on behalf of the entire commission and the community, I want to thank you very much for keeping up on the watering on those things. Done a nice job.
Here, here. In a tough summer, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll make sure the marigolds seem to work real well this year. They, previous years we've had different flower plantings in there, and the marigolds are just so hardy. They stayed, pretty flowers all summer long. Duck River, Duck River Garden Club, Duck River Garden. I bought the marigolds and you planted them, or I planted. I forget who planted them, but you maintained them all summer. It's great. Duck River Garden Club did the planter at the end of Hartford Avenue and a part of Swan Avenue, and I want to thank them very much. So we keep up with all of this. It'll stay nice, and as we keep improving, and we as long as we can kind of keep up on these nice aesthetic things, that's important.
Yep.
So our budget this year.
I still think we should turn the park bench.
Pardon me?
I
What was
still
that, Harry?
think we should change the park benches and put them so they're facing the street.
Well, thanks for your thoughts on that, Harry. Okay, so budget.
Hey, Frank,
Yes.
this is Paul. Just another budget item you might want to think about. Both of our flags have reached their limit, and they really got torn apart the last storm we had. So we're going to need a new Old Glory and a POW flag at some point.
Okay, I got that here.
I'll take care of those for next year.
All right, so we just need to plug that in.
So the flag is a 5x8, and the POW is a 4x6.
Harry, you want to get a cost on those, or we'll just plug that into the budget somewhere online, or an approximate cost?
I can get those out of Hartford for free.
Oh, great. Free is always good. Okay. Last year, we had $550 in printing and office supplies. I think we're okay with that. 400 in mailing, we didn't use that, so I think we're okay there. We had $4,635 for community services. Those were events. We didn't use any of it last year. David, do you think we're okay with that number, or should we go up by 3%?
I think, look, 4750 is fine.
Okay.
I mean, there really isn't any, inflation. So
Yeah. Porta potties, we were at 7910. I think we're still okay with that number.
I vote for 7900.
At 7,900. Okay. You want to take down $10? You want to reduce it by $10, Dave?
Shorter roll of toilet paper.
No problem. Miscellaneous signage and banners, which included some of the flowers that we planted. We have $1,150 in there. So that included some miscellaneous flower plantings and all. Now to that, we need to add landscaping of $3,500.
And Frank, do we need to replace any of the banners that we've got off of the lampposts, or no? Are they in good shape?
I think they're in good shape. I didn't. They came down. They're good this year. But the 1150, there we may be able to use some of that for a sign at the end of Hartford Avenue. We'll have to see where we come up with, for some signage, maybe some additional signage at the end of Hartford Avenue.
Yeah, because I think that larger number was, and again, this is kind of peanuts, it's rounding errors, but the larger number was because we did buy some of that signage that goes on the lampposts and things. Yeah. So we simply need to have some rationale for whatever we've got in there. And it's okay if we say it went down because we don't have to replace anything, but it might go up next year,
I don't know if we have to, those banners could be ripped and torn over the winter. I really don't know. So I think that, putting it in there, I'd rather give it back than to try to get it later.
No, if you got a reason, it's going to happen. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. We tried for a gazebo. That didn't happen last year.
So what are we going to do about that? Are we going to ask again?
Yeah.
Might as well. We had $6,500 in for gazebo. That would be per year for 3 years.
Well, I mean, yeah. So 3 years hence, you get a gazebo.
Right.
I mean, put in for the full nut, and let's see what happens. Because the fact of the matter is, there was a gazebo there, and now there's not.
And it went away.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And so, if the commission thinks that it's appropriate for a gazebo to come back, which was taken away from the community, the kind of sub community, then let's put in for the full amount, and the Board of Finance can talk about it, and the Board of Selectmen can talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. Town survey. We were still kind of working on getting an RFP on that. Do we have anything, David, on that?
No, Michaela and I, what we should do is we should put in for it, right? And then Michaela and I can come up with a scope. But the amount that we had in the budget, as my recollection is, it was $20,000. And there has been a fair amount of work as well. So I should follow up and see what work has been done because of the sewer work and that sort of thing as well. Where we left it was, where we started with it was, we were going to survey the alleyways and then kind of expand the scope from there. $20,000 is a lot of money for a survey. So that gets you far. What we really need to do is figure out what now has been surveyed and what hasn't with the water project and the sewer project, and then figure out what that gap is, and then be a little bit more discreet in terms of our scope. So I think that we should make provision for it. I think my personal view is $15,000 is enough. 20,000 is just too much. 15,000 is enough provision for whatever the gap is that I expect to be there subsequent to the work that's been done.
I think now it's kind of, as we've seen, as we move to the Hartford Avenue, the sidewalk project north on Hartford Avenue and Shore Road, we've seen a lot of encroachment. And some of it has been minor and some of it has been pretty major. So I think that, the survey is something that should be done at some point in time. Some of the encroachments, we've had to have them just remove them. Others we've had some pushback on, but at least we'll know.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, it is such an easy project for the alleyways. I mean, you're literally talking about 0.35 miles, I think, per alleyway. to just stake it. And,
Just
you know, the
a straight
surveyor's going to
shot.
stake it, and you're going to find out what those encroachments are, not on a piece of paper, but in actuality. And
Yeah.
so if there are feelings about those encroachments, they can be expressed a lot sooner rather than later. So.
It's a straight
I
shot.
also- I also would like to bring up something about the alleyways. I know this summer in particular of at least one assault in one of the alleyways at night during summertime where somebody got hurt. So I think the survey is a great start, but there also needs to be the thinking that those right-of-ways have to be safe for people that use them to move around.
I guess that's true of any town right away, right? So
Yeah.
no matter what the road is, Saunders Hollow is pretty dark at night too, but your point is well taken, so.
We had trash can replacement in for 1,700. We were gonna try to put some yearly, thing in there for trash can replacement. Do we want to go with the 1,700 or we want to do some lower figure now that we,
Well, Frank, what we ended up with was we carried over the 1,700 from last year. And
And-
this year's budget is 1,700 as well.
right,
And so that gives us the 3,400 that we can use for the trash, you know, receptacles or enclosures, as the case may be. But I think that our thinking was we would probably have to replace, as our first year's experience showed us, at least 2 of these things every year because somebody rams their car into it and that sort of thing. But if we've got enclosures, I think that number can come down, and it's simply a replacement reserve of sorts that doesn't have its own fund like larger funds would. But you never know. One year you might need all of it, and then the next year you might need none. So I think $1,000 is probably good for that provision because we've also got the cans up Hartford Avenue too. I think we've
Right.
got 2 or 3 of the smaller cans too, which are in fine shape right now, but who knows?
so $1,000 reserve field. I agree with you. I feel comfortable with that.
And that's my view. Anybody else has got a view? Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
We had last year a Center Road stop sign replacement 3,100, which we have that. I just didn't order them this year because we didn't need them. I'll order them over the winter time. And so we don't need to replace those again. Until they all get stolen again. So maybe every 2 or 3 years, every 4 years, we're gonna have to replace 1 or 2 of those signs. We'll see what happens. Interestingly enough, I was told that all those signs were stolen. About 3 weeks ago, one of them appeared at the end of Swan Avenue in lieu of the stop sign at Shore Road. So I don't know where it was, how it ended up at the end of Swan Avenue in lieu of the stop sign. Apparently, the stop sign at the end of Swan Avenue got knocked down by the construction company.
I was going to say, you may need to ask them.
Well, I need to ask Public Works because Public Works and the police department are the ones that told me all those signs were stolen, and that's why they weren't in the middle of the road all summer long. Now all of a sudden I saw one sticking on the end of Swan Avenue in October. So either they were stolen or they weren't stolen. So it's more of a frustration level on my part.
I think they were removed by the construction companies during their construction.
No, they were gone. They were gone at the beginning of the season, Harry.
Right.
Yeah, no, not the ones Frank's talking about, Harry.
Oh, okay.
Frank, I want to hear the follow-up on this for sure.
Yeah, so do
Yeah.
I. We'll see what happens. Anyhow,
Hey,
so
Frank,
yeah.
Frank, do you have
Yes.
a line item in there for a bike rack?
No, because the bike rack will be replaced by Public Works.
Where did it go?
Okay.
Did you ever find that out, Frank?
No,
That
No,
thing was a year old.
it was a year old and it was very expensive.
Yeah.
So Dave, what I need from you is because you have the receipt on that. I'm just gonna submit it to the selectmen and have Public Works replace it for next
Yeah,
year.
I'm sure it's in their budget, but yeah.
I mean, they picked it up, they moved it, they took it away, and then now they can't find it, so.
By the way, the thing also weighs like 300 pounds. Where the hell could it have gone?
Well,
Yeah.
I drove around all the other playgrounds and parks and beaches, and it was nowhere to be found because I thought it might have just migrated somewhere else.
Like the gazebo.
Like the gazebo, but I didn't see it. So
I did the same thing. I went to Haynes Park, I went to Cross Lane. I didn't see it either, so both of us did that.
I went to Rogers Lake, I went to White Sands, I went to Town Woods, everywhere. It's definitely not at one of the other places.
Yeah, I've got the order form with the price on it and stuff, so.
Okay. Great. Does anybody have anything else that we should include in the budget, whether it be the operational budget or capital budget? All right, I'll finalize this and get this out. We can vote on it as next meeting.
Okay.
That work for everybody?
That works for me.
I think we're okay. We could vote on this in November, right, David? I don't think we have to have the budgets in yet.
Yeah, I mean, October 31st is when Nicole typically likes to, but we're like one of the few commissions that actually submits. So we can give her a preview, Frank. Actually,
Okay.
you know what? If you just zap me your notes, I'll preview it with her. I don't think it's going to change very much. And I'll let her know that it's subject to approval, but we don't expect it to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We can vote on it now, but I'd like to write it up so everybody actually can see it.
No. Yeah, people got to have it. Yeah.
Any other business?
Any other what?
Any other business, new business from the commissioners?
Yeah, Frank. This is Frank Murata. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Stephanie has asked me to ask the commission for their support in doing what Kokomo's did and serving on the beach, getting a permanent license to sell on the beach. So I would expect we gave it to Kokomo's. There'd be no reason to not give it to the pavilion, but I guess we can vote on it next month, I guess.
You mean serving liquor on the beach, Frank?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have pretty much an outline already established, so we can look at that and go over that next month, and I'll pull it up to make sure that we're consistent in our thoughts and great, same outline, same set of affairs. I don't see any reason why.
There's no meeting in December, right?
No meeting in December, but we could certainly talk about that next meeting.
Okay, great.
Let me just make a note in this. Okay. Yeah, Frank, I'll pull that up and get it over to you sometime in the next couple of weeks, just so you can review it. So if there's any questions, we can kind of pre-resolve them before the next meeting. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
All right, great. Anything else? Okay, if there's no other business from the commissioners, I'll open it up to public comment. Please state your name, your address, and what your comment is. Any public comment out there? Okay. A quick meeting then.
Yes.
Great.
I hear no public comments, so I'll entertain a motion to dismiss.
So moved or dismiss or
Second.
Adjourn. Okay, we got first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you
Be
very
well,
much,
everyone.
everybody.
Okay, take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
all.
Everyone. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
How do you hang up? Oh, yeah, X.
Turn this thing off now.